Welcome back to another episode of Growth Vertical. Today we're going to be talking about my thought process in how I went about choosing between an MSc and an MBA when trying to get a digital marketing degree. Now, I kind of want to shout out Monica Cannon, who had actually brought this to my attention and requested this video. I'll throw up the comment somewhere over here. So she said, "Hey Neil, thanks for the informative video. Could you please tell us the thought process of choosing your university and the scope of an MSc versus an MBA in digital marketing?" And she mentioned that she actually commented this on the Get Into Digital Marketing video. So for those of you guys who haven't seen it, go check that out first and then maybe come back here if you have a similar question. But yeah, hopefully this answers your question, Monica. It's a great question. And yeah, let's get into it. If you guys are liking the content and that sort of thing so far, feel free to drop a like on the videos, on the channel, subscribe to the channel, and share and comment if you want to see any particular videos. Anyway, now let's get into it. So how did I go about my process, right? So I got a few notes actually because I was sort of brainstorming how I went about this. And I think it was the difference in you really need to understand what you want from that degree, right? So whether you've already got some experience in digital marketing, whether you're fresh, sort of trailblazing your way into the market, right? So what I wanted a broad understanding in multiple areas because I have a computer science degree. And so I wanted to move over from that sort of engineering focus, that technology focus, which is more broader on that side. And I wanted to move that over to marketing, these sort of tech products, right, in my particular field. And so because of that interest, I thought, hey, well, if I was to do digital marketing, let me check out if my previous uni does it. So where I did my bachelor's degree, and they actually did an MSc, right? And I really thought about what I wanted. So the idea was that I wanted a practical environment to sort of work in, right? So that was my number one priority. But I also wanted the theory behind how to learn about the broader side of the topics, right? So I did an actual MSc in digital marketing and master's in that, of course, at my university. But I really was looking for somewhere where I could sort of invest that time spent on theory and research to then put it back into a practical environment. So that could be anything to do with working in labs to like sort of break down digital marketing strategies for different businesses and coming up with recommendations. But more so, I really wanted to like kickstart my sort of experience, right? My sort of experience in my portfolio as well. So what I did was I looked for that balance. Now I knew I was going back from my bachelor's, from graduating from my bachelor's degree to working for a few years and then going back to do a master's. So I really needed to catch up almost and play catch up and sort of put my head down and work through, almost grind it out, right, to catch up to where I was. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to need a module that actually offers practical experience. And so I opted for that. Now, that was pretty much what my uni offered, right? And sort of my uni that I went to before for my bachelor's, obviously, they provided me with that particular opportunity for that, with the right modules that I wanted to do. I sort of reviewed the modules and it turned out that all of those things I really wanted to sort of have an involvement in, and I really wanted to learn in those areas. So I went ahead and applied, and it gave me everything I needed to. But if you're asking about how you should go ahead and do this, well, let's get into quickly what an MA is, what an MSc is, and what an MBA is, right? I'll break those down and then this should hopefully help you sort of decide. So we know that an MA is usually associated with degrees surrounding like languages, social sciences, sort of humanities, geography, that sort of thing, right? And if you think about an MA like this, you go very specific into a topic because it's likely you already know that you really wanted to dive into that topic. From the get-go, you don't ever want to sort of turn heads or anything like that, and you just want to be in that field. So if I said I wanted to do an MA in digital marketing, I'm expecting to get, really into the details and be like super sort of that research focused, where you're sort of learning, right, a bunch of things. And so if I think about it like this, it's more of a terminal degree in a subject area. So whereas an MSc would be much broader, which I'll talk about in a minute, but you can sort of expect desk-based classes sort of thing, some research maybe, actually a lot of research, right? The psychology behind certain things, but you dive more into the topic of digital marketing, right? So you go very deep into a topic. That's the way you got to think about it. And it also does differ from uni to uni. You really want to check out, I cannot employ you to actually check out the course structure, a lot of the modules, to see whether they fit exactly what you want, and then we can go ahead and do that, right? So then you can go ahead and say, hey, okay, we want to go ahead and apply to this because they offer these particular modules, and I just want to dive into those areas. Now let's move on to an MSc. So what is an MSc? So now MSc is more of if an MA is more specific, an MSc is more so tailored to the more technical and logical people, but it is more for a broader understanding. So let's say you're someone new, I'm going to make my recommendation at the end, of course, of what you should do. But it's more of a broader understanding of the entire sort of field. So digital marketing, because we're talking about this, it's a broader understanding of digital marketing, where you will dive into multiple areas of digital marketing, whereas an MA may be something to do with that facet of digital marketing, or marketing, I should say, and you go specific into that topic. It's more technical because it exposes you to not just theory and research, but you actually get exposed to things like lab work, right? So I remember, even for me, I did a lot of lab work. You break down a lot of the strategies that certain companies are already executing on. You go ahead and see, hey, well, would you have done that any better? You'd sort of research behind all of those, break it down, and then maybe make some recommendation. I think when you think about lab work as well, you should also think about it as, I'm gaining experience doing something that's a bit more real life. All those real life examples are probably better when it comes to if you want to get experience and if you're sort of starting out, right? So you can really set yourself to be more research focused moving forward, because when you do an MSc, let's say that you get into the detail, like the initial part of the details, so the broad understanding of multiple areas in digital marketing, you can then say, I want to sort of set myself up to do maybe a doctorate or something later down the line. But usually they're much more like sort of tailored to things like science, technology, engineering, sort of maths. It's more use of logic. It's more logical if you think about it. And so you can imagine people diving into those areas specifically. I did an MSc myself, just putting it out there. And I actually enjoyed every part of it. It was the most useful thing for me, and I wouldn't be here where I was without that. I'm not saying that, that's going to be the same case for you. It just really depends on what you want from the entire process. Let's go with an MBA. So what is an MBA? Now, an MBA is different, right? If you're, most of the audience and most of the people that are sort of watching these videos, you guys, hey, whenever I'm looking at, like, let's say the audience analytics and stuff, and the guys that are commenting, a lot of you guys seem like you're in the early phases of things. So you really want to dive into marketing, get started with marketing, or you're a startup founder who's actually reached out and wanted to sort of learn a few strategies here and there. And, you're trying to understand, hey, well, basically we're marketing on a budget. We've got a startup, but when we're marketing on a budget, how do we go ahead and market ourselves? So anyway, an MBA, fast forwarding, right, are for those who technically have experience, because they usually have sort of entry requirements into the university to do an MBA. So I couldn't do an MBA, for example, if I tried to, at the very beginning when I tried, because they probably would ask for 3, 4, 5 years experience prior to even getting onto an MBA. So they're for those that actually who have experience and want to learn more of the business side of things and more entrepreneurship. And it usually requires, like, that's the note, right? It does usually require experience, but you would actually hear a lot of these stories. But there are a lot of people who work on an MBA after, right? They've been sponsored by their company, like blue chip companies, you hear about that, right? And so that they can bring the MBA experience back in-house, so into the business, the big business, right? And to be used, because you're probably part of upper management or anything like that. Now, saying that, there is a caveat, right? So, or I guess a small sort of fine print, is that there have been some stories where some people have done MBAs and they probably had like a couple years experience, or 1 or 2, or they had to sort of apply in a certain way. But I would say, I have an opinion, of course, on this sort of MBA stance, right? So, or I would say management type, right? So if you've got something that says digital marketing management or digital marketing and management or something like that, I was sort of the choice was put in front of me, but I didn't go for the management area. Now, based off of a conversation I was having in the past, it was a lot more easier to say to myself, hey, well, I truly believe this as well, but it's more like you're speaking to someone, right? And you're saying, hey, well, what do I think I'm going to get out of marketing management versus digital marketing? And the way I saw it, or when I saw it, when I was having this conversation is, you can't teach management. I think you get that on the job, you get that as experience. So for me, it was an easy decision, right? I did think about it, but I thought, hey, I don't need management. I know I want to be in that direction eventually, and I want to manage something in the future, of course, when it comes to in a business or whatever, or like, in-house, whatever. But I have truly felt that you can't teach management properly and then you just become a manager. No, it takes experience. You got to have those interactions, etc. But that's an MBA, right? So that's more experience focused, more business oriented. You can imagine the modules being more business and entrepreneurship oriented. MSc broader, and MA very specific into that particular topic. Now, how do you choose? Well, I already told you about how I chose, what my thought process was. So I'm going to run the same exact scenario with you. So I want you to look at the modules. Look at the modules and just see, does it fit what you want to learn? The reason why I say that is because you don't really want to be learning a few things. You have to do some things that you don't want to learn, of course, but you don't want to be learning those things that just aren't tailored towards what you want at all from this degree, right? So don't do it for the sake of it. Now, do you want to get a broader understanding? If so, that's more of an MSc focus and not an MA focus, right? You can set yourself, remember, with an MSc, you can set yourself up to sort of explore the different areas, whereas in an MA, you already know set that you're going to dive into that particular area. Now, for some of you guys that are entering the field, I talked about it earlier, an MSc is probably what you want to go for when you're starting out, because you also want to, I would advise that when you're starting out, you want to actually couple that with some experience building opportunities. So when I say that, what does an experience building opportunity mean? Go get an internship, right? Go carry out some courses, maybe break down some particular business strategies already being implemented in their marketing department for various businesses, whether it's startups, whether it's enterprises, whoever. Volunteer, look for a course that actually allows you to have like some form of internship experience project. So where you can sort of not just do a dissertation that's all about research and just writing. No. The one that I would suggest is the module that has that sort of conversion type of experience project, right? So you would essentially say, we call it the final year project or the internship experience project, but you could probably call it it might be called the business marketing experience or whatever it is. Anyway, if you can find that sort of module, I would definitely recommend it. Why? Because you're not only starting out, right? The bonus is you're going through all the theory, you're going through all these practical lab sessions, you're breaking down all these different marketing strategies and sort of implementing your own, making recommendations, but you get to test this for an actual business, right? So if your uni has contacts with particular businesses in their local area, they will actually help with this, right? They will actually help with getting in touch with these particular businesses. Otherwise, I would recommend you can still find your own. Unis actually do recommend that. So I would push for that if you really want to. Remember, it also depends on the institution you apply for. That's the last note I'm going to say, because every uni will differ. The way that they teach the course will differ between an MA, an MSc, and an MBA. And I've given you all three on what they actually are. Now, there might be some opinions here and there, but it doesn't really matter, right? Like if you do your research initially and you compare what that institution deems as an MA, you'll see it in the course structure. You'll see it in the way it's taught. You can see it in the way past students or alumni have talked about the actual course, and you'll see where they are, right? In their lives, and if some of them probably were more research focused or whatever, you'll see them maybe trying to set themselves up for further study or whatever. Maybe there's some that really wanted to dive into the topic and they've already out and out in that field, in that specific area, specialist. Then you've got broader people who are just sort of figuring it out, right? And that sort of area. So anyway, I hope this video helps. I know it's a bit of a long video, but it's actually supposed to be short, me just answering the thought process, but I kind of felt like there's more detail to justify how to go about this. So again, Monica Cannon, thank you for the comment and for the recommendation of question you answered, right? And what you want to hear. I hope this will help you guys. Excuse me. This was my thought process on how I actually chose my degree. If you do have any questions, do drop it in the comment section below. Otherwise, if you like the content, like the video and do subscribe. If you like the video, guys, more and more people that need help with these particular questions will see it. So in order to sort of satisfy the YouTube algorithm, just go and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and do share on your networks for those particular students or even startup founders that need help in these particular marketing areas. Anyway, I appreciate your time and I'll see you guys in the next video, so take it easy. Bye.